also take you, of course, back to this other court matter. Disgraced Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and 5 co-accused are back in the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court for bail today. Magudumana, along with G4's prison warders, Sinohe Motswara, Diego Makgotsa and Anastasia Janssen, CCTV technician Deborah James Dupolo and Budima Semola are all accused of allegedly aiding and abetting murderer and rapist Thabo Besta's daring prison escape, but they also face charges of fraud, corruption, as well as defeating the ends of justice. Our reporters, that's Pule, Letshwiti-Jones and Silindelo, Masikane, are following the story for us this morning at the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court. But let me start with you, Pule. Good morning to you, a colleague. I mean, I know that you have been following through with the arrival of some of, the family members of Dr. Nandipha, but as well as the lawyers. Have you seen Dr. Nandipha, though? Has she arrived in court?
Yeah, definitely. We did see her arriving through to the police station. I think it's the back entrance of the court where she was escorted by police officials. About 3 police vans that we saw escorting one of the cars. We also saw Dr. Nandipha's sister here just outside court. I believe she's gone inside court now as the proceedings are expected to unfold any time from now. She was accompanied by Advocate Shupi, of course, who's part of that legal team representing Miss Magudumana. But also, as far as we understand, there are other supporters from political parties, and we're also expecting the Bloemfontein Celtic Tembisa branch. Of course, this is where the late Katlego Bareng was attending. This was his branch. He was an avid supporter of the football team, and most importantly, he's been described as one person who was very passionate about football in terms of coordinating songs the club would actually sing at some of these matches where the team would be playing. But also, sad story behind this is that you remember that Mr. Bareng was also used as a decoy. His body was used as a decoy in terms of where the Thabo Besta escape saga pertains to, when one of the bodies were alleged to have been found in Thabo Besta's cell when he had escaped, of course. But what we understand also is that family members of the late Katlego Bareng are expected to come here to seek justice, because they are quite disappointed with one of the charges relating to the murder charge being provisionally withdrawn. But let's get a quick soundbite from supporters outside from Action SA. Thank you very much, Mama, for joining us this morning. Just tell us, what are you expecting ahead of today's court procedures?
What we're expecting is that they be denied the bail, because they have proved that they are flight risk, because Nandipha was actually found in another country. So for her to be given a bail will be a great risk.
And maybe we know that the charge of murder was provisionally withdrawn previously. You've expressed disappointment. Why was that the case?
Because the main thing is we want to find out who killed Katlego, and we were hoping that this will give us the answers to those questions. But now that the case has been dropped, it still leaves us wondering what happened. So with the charges, we were hoping that we will be able to know what really happened. But now we're back to square one, where we do not know what really happened.
And pertaining to how the case has been unfolding currently, are you happy with how the matter is being handled, particularly by the state and the National Prosecuting Authority?
So far, we are happy, yes.
Right, thank you very much. Can you get your name and surname for record purposes?
Nomawethu Spugwana.
Thank you very much. That's Nomawethu from Action SA. These are some of the party members who are in solidarity with the Bareng family, but most importantly saying that Dr. Nandipha and the other co-accused should be denied bail this morning.
Now, definitely, Pule, I mean, if you definitely heard from family loved ones of Katlego Bareng, you would understand that only justice would give them closure. And that's why they're so committed to attending almost, every court appearance for this case, because they want to see justice for Katlego Bareng. But on the other hand, eNCA senior reporter Silindelo Masikane also joining us this morning. And I think this time just to give us some clarity as well on, the possibility that the media may not be granted permission to take footage, those course, live footage of the proceedings in court. Slee, good morning to you. And what do we know so far about the reasons behind this possibility that the media may not, be granted that permission to be in court and take live footage as those proceedings do commence?
That's the issue at the moment, Dumelo, is that there's no, there was no discussion with the media. When we arrived this morning, I'm going to ask Brother JK to show you that we did what we would normally do, which is set up the equipment, the cameras, the lighting, the audio, sound, to be able to capture these proceedings live. Just before 9 a.m. this morning, we were then given a letter or an addendum, as it's called, from the Chief Magistrate of the court, in essence telling us that these bail proceedings cannot be taken live or recorded in terms of the arguments that are going to be heard. If I just read from the last paragraph, it says, on the days of the hearing of the formal bail applications, no live recording of the proceedings shall be permitted. This includes the testimony of witnesses called, the testimony of accused persons, and the respective cross-examination that will follow. The live recording of the bail proceedings will only be allowed after all evidence has been adduced. The closing arguments by the state and the defense teams may be recorded live. It will also be allowed. It will also be allowed when the court or magistrate delivers judgment with regards to the bail application. Any recording and coverage of the allowed proceedings shall be done in a responsible, professional, and respectful manner. So this is the letter that we've received just before 9 a.m. We were not consulted, we were not told, and so we are seeking just clarity from the court with regards to where this comes from, because we know, of course, this matter in particular is of public interest, and that many South Africans do want to be able to take to be able to watch these proceedings, because as you can see, the courtroom is in itself very small. Even us as the media are trying to work around the spatial issues with regards to how we take these proceedings. And so at this point, we are still seeking that clarity, Dumelo, but we have seen, of course, a number of the legal representatives arriving. I'm going to ask Brother JK to just walk with me outside of court, outside the courtroom rather. And like I said earlier, that we have a huge security presence inside as well as outside of court. Just in front of me, you can see that we have security officials from the courthouse, where you actually have to show your wristband. You have to identify yourself as the media to be allowed into the vicinity of the courtroom where these bail proceedings are going to be heard. To my left, I can see the legal representative for Dr. Nandipha, that is Advocate Shuping, with his colleagues. I have actually seen other representatives for the accused as well arriving here at the courthouse. I'm going to just try and speak to Advocate Shuping. Advocate Shuping, we're live on eNCA. I just wanted to get an understanding if you're aware of the media restrictions for the bail application at all.
No, who's Shuping? The Shuping is for the NPA, is the spokesperson of the APA.
Oh, my apologies, my apologies. But you do represent Dr. Nandipha in these proceedings. Are you aware of the media restrictions that we were given this morning?
No, look, I'm not going to offer any comment. I'm a legal representative, and whatever that I say, I have to say it in court.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're ready to proceed with bail for Dr. Nandipha at this point?
Let's wait until we get into court.
Okay, thank you so much.
All
right. That is the legal representative for Dr. Nandipha. And just in front of me, I see, in fact, the legal representative for Dr. Nandipha's father. Her family is here, and we were actually able to capture them outside. And so at this point, it does seem as though the proceedings will be delayed, Dumelo. Silindelo, in terms of when we begin with these bail proceedings, because like I said, we do have this letter that was handed to us just before 9 a.m., meaning that if the bail applications do proceed, there's a possibility the media may not be able to take those visuals live or to record them in terms of the arguments. According to the letter, we can only take the proceedings once arguments have been heard and at the point of closing arguments, as well as judgments in the bail applications.
And I can definitely see from the letter, Slee, that we have the addendum as well, that these are quite strict, rules and, observations here that they need the media to abide by. I mean, the last sentence here stating that any deviation or non-compliance by any of the permit holders will then ensue into the withdrawal of the permit and, of course, no further permits will then be granted to non-compliant media houses. So I can see that definitely from the letter signed by the Acting Chief Magistrate, LP Mbasa, in Bloemfontein. These are very strict rules that they're, of course, asking the media to abide by. So as we leave it at that for now, colleagues, I'll be sure to catch up with you again as soon as there are any other developments out of the Bloemfontein Magistrate's Court. For us, they being eNCA senior reporter Silindelo Masikane, as well as Pule Letshwiti-Jones, who has been outside speaking to not only members of various political parties such as Action SA, but also just narrating to us the family and the legal representatives, as well as Dr. Nandipha herself, arriving in court this morning.